Well, hey guys, welcome to Conversations with the Real Estate Redhead. We have Juan Garcia here today. He is the branch manager and loan officer with Alterra Home Loans. So thank you, Juan, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Glad to be here.
absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, you do home loans. So what are some of the things that you'd like to share with people?
Really, one of the things I'd really want to hit on very importantly is getting needed items.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the main thing that sometimes can slow down a process. It's just little things that become big things later in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So coming to me with needed items that I'm going to ask for in a timely manner can really make the process go so smoothly, and the buyer's going to love it.
Yeah. So needed items. So if we're talking with somebody who's never applied for a home loan, I guess the process to start would be I give them your contact info and they call you. And then how do you take it from there?
So pretty much I'm going to ask them some questions, get a feel for them, see, because not every buyer and loan officer can click.
Right. Right.
Some maybe they're too lax and they want someone who's going to be, let's go.
Exactly.
So I'm going to talk with them, get to feel them. They can feel me, see if they like it, see if there's a little click there. If it is, then we start talking about, what is their main objective on the loan? What are they looking to get? Is it interest rate? Are they looking to save money? Low monthly payment, all that stuff, and then we start going into it. Then I'm gonna be like, okay, cool. Okay, now I'm gonna need these things. Let's say W-2s, check stubs, bank statements, stuff of that nature.
Okay.
And a lot of people think that it's a lot of stuff that's needed, and I mean, it kind of is, but it really isn't. If you do it in a little process, I get this, and this, and you've knocked out a quarter of it already.
Exactly.
And I think they just need to be explained to them that, look, this is why we're asking for this. And this is what it's going to do.
Right.
And they'll get it from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's little things like that.
I've had buyers before. They're like, what do you mean I need a pre-approval? Like, obviously I can buy this house. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a saying buyers are liars for a reason. And unfortunately I trust you and I know that you're great, but unfortunately not everybody is.
I don't know if it's buyers are liars. I think I don't want to say buyers are liars. They just see things differently.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
And then once we start putting things in front of them, well, look at this. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Or, I didn't realize that's auto drafted. I didn't realize I was paying that.
Oh.
And so they forget about things.
You mean like a debt that they didn't know that they had?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
gosh.
It comes out of it automatically. So they're like, I forgot I'm paying that $300 payment, or I forgot, because they don't feel it. They already know it.
Right.
And
that's true.
They think they're only making a certain amount.
Gotcha.
And so we bring it to them and like, oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
And so
that's hard. Yeah.
So when they say buyers are liars, it's,
I really like this house. I really want to put it in an offer. Yeah, we can go ahead and go for it. And then all of a sudden it's the daddy that has the money. They don't have the money. Dad hasn't said they want to buy it yet.
So I'm glad you said that. So
yeah.
So one thing when we get into the process and I let them know, like, I need you to be completely honest with me. I need you. I'm on your side. I'm not against you. I need you to tell me everything. And it's not going to hurt. I'm the one that needs to know. I'm putting this together.
You're going to find it out.
Exactly.
You're going to find it out because you know all the things.
Exactly. So, and they'll be, they get surprised. It's funny. Well, how did you find that? Or how did you, we have ways.
I mean, I'm not the FBI, but
we have our own ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just be completely honest with us because we're the one that's putting it together, and we're pretty much building a picture, a storyline for the underwriters.
Yeah.
This is what and we're gonna supply everything that we think they need.
Right.
And so we're gonna try and get that up front. That way we don't have to be going back and forth. Hey, well, I need this, or hey, the underwriter
delay
needs
the process.
this. Exactly. So when we start going back and asking for a lot of little things like that, that's when the buyer's like, well, they don't leave me alone.
Yeah.
They keep on asking for so much. So we try to get it all in front. And yes, it seems like a lot in front, but at the end, we're not asking for very much.
Yeah.
Then it's a smooth process.
Streamlines, yeah. Well, let's kind of circle back to what you said at the beginning. And I feel like I've heard this in conversation before where you're like, what's more important to you? Is it interest rate? Is it, the type of home loan that you're looking for? Because first-time home buyers, they might be interested in a certain type of product. A person who's looking for an investment property might be interested in another type of product. And how long they're going to hold on to that house will also determine the type of loan that you offer them. And I think it can be misunderstood that, oh, I'm just buying a house, I just need a loan. And there's so many other things that go into that, and that's where you can add additional value as well, because you're like, well, just because you want to buy a house doesn't mean that you need this specific type of loan or you need that specific type of loan. Like you're not just like going up to a vending machine and getting the same thing, you know? Right. So what does that look like for you as a loan officer whenever someone comes to you and, they're ready to buy a house? How do you decipher or explain to them like which avenue they should go down?
So I get a lot of first-time home buyers that come to me and they're like, well, I want down payment assistance program.
Yeah.
I like down payment assistance program for what they are. If you truly need it, then okay, that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of people who they do qualify for down payment assistance program, but they don't realize that, you're going to get a slightly higher interest rate.
Right.
And I mean, if you have the money already,
just use it.
Just use it. I understand that, of course they're going to want to buy furniture and, lawnmowers and all that other stuff.
Oh gosh, it adds up.
But if you have it, I would say use it.
Yeah.
If you truly do need it, then okay, then it's there for that reason.
Yeah.
When you start getting into people who have bought before, I understand, they've bought before, they know the process. So I directly ask them, okay, so what are you looking to get out of this? And they're going to tell me.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to have to put 20% down, so I'm looking for this and this and this. And so we can eliminate things that we know that we're not even have to mess with. I'm not even going to insult them, put it that way.
Right.
With
you have to be careful how you ask questions, because they're like, this isn't the first time I've bought my house. Why are you treating me like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I learned early on in the business, I made the mistake of saying the wrong thing, and they bit my head off.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
But I still closed it. So
yeah, I mean, hey, I kind of had a situation like that, and they're like, those people that you sent me to, they don't know anything. And I'm like, well, what exactly happened? Because they kind of do know, but maybe they just didn't tell you the answer you're looking for,
exactly.
Because obviously it wasn't their first home purchase, and, they bought and sold properties before. But it's kind of interesting, even though like my husband and I, we bought and sold a few houses, and every time that we go through the process, like before I became a realtor and everything like that, it was like something was different, something was new. And I could not believe that whenever I was looking to buy our first house, I did a whole bunch of research and was like, because I was in college and we were trying to pay for our wedding. And I'm like, what is the least amount of money that I have to pay? And I found this one small sliver of space that was USDA qualified. And I was like, yes, this is it. We can do it. And then whenever we started the process, I was like, wait, what are closing costs? Like, I didn't realize that. Wait, down payment wasn't the only thing. Like, and that like really like caught me by surprise.
See, and I'm glad you said that, because there's a lot of buyers who don't know that.
Yeah.
It's first time home buyers, and then also with VA.
Yeah.
They say, oh, no down payment. So they automatically think no money out of pocket.
Right.
No, it's no down payment, exactly for what it says.
Exactly.
It's closing costs. So a lot of VA buyers fall into that. They're like, well, no, I've got no down payment. I go, yes, sir, you have. There is no down payment, but there's closing costs. And then I explain, and they're like, oh, well, I don't have any money.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw that, but
but now you're confirming that.
So I'm glad you said that, because that's everybody thinks no down payment, no down payment.
Exactly. Like that, I don't need to bring any money to the table. So if we were to kind of talk to people that are first time home buyers, or people that might be experienced but they don't really know which loan that they would go for, if you were to put a percentage, I've heard before that it's like 3% for closing costs.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I aim a little high, 3.5.
Okay.
So what I do is I'll give the approval in the worst case scenario, and then I let them know, like, this is a high, these are a little inflated.
Yeah.
But when we get along the process, you're gonna start seeing things start getting concrete, and they're
slow
gonna
down
drop
a little bit. Yeah.
And you're gonna see everything comes into place.
Yeah. That's
so,
good.
but yeah, closing costs are always get everybody.
I know. Well, that kind of brings me to another point. Like, if we were to think about like, the like debunking a few of the ideas that people have about mortgage, I feel like that's something that's really important to me because of my age group. People feel like, oh, well, I could never buy a house. I could never afford that. And that's the opposite of the truth,
Yeah,
you know, and people think, oh, well, you know, people were able to do it back. My parents were able to do it back in the 70s and 80s because houses only cost $100,000, you know, and I thought that whenever I was becoming an adult, I remember, I'll never forget it. I went to Wells Fargo and they sent me a nasty letter because I was 18 now and I was no longer, I had like some sort of teen account or something like that. Well, it was no longer valid because of my age and because I wasn't in high school anymore. Okay. And I'd always banked there. I had my account. I started my account there whenever I was like in first grade. And they sent me this notice that I needed to have like $1,000 in my checking account at any given time or they were going to fine me. Or something heinous. And I literally went in there and I talked to the banker and I was like, do you expect me to be a millionaire or something? I'm putting myself through college. Like, I work at a cookie bakery. What do you want from me? I cannot even fathom having $1,000 in my account at any time.
That looks bad on them. You know, you've had that long of a tenure with them, and
I had to like come up with I had to finagle it somehow to get. I had to change my account to where it was. I think I qualified for a college account. I had to have like some sort of direct deposit going in and going out or something like that for it to qualify. But I literally was dumbfounded. I was like, I can't even imagine that. And so then also whenever you think about somebody that's, you know, that's getting established in their life too, and they're like, well, if I want to buy any house in our area is, you know, within a certain price point and, you know, 10 or 20% of that price point, that's just overwhelming to so many people. And
a lot of people think that you have to put 20% down.
Yeah.
That's
and you have to have perfect credit.
Yeah.
You can't have any debt.
Nope.
You know?
I mean, I've done 580 credit scores. You know, we go down to 580.
Yeah.
You know, do we want to do a 580 credit score? No, but I mean, we can do it, you know, and the ratios are going to be there. You know, you have everything else there that falls in place. Why not do it?
Right.
Why can't, you know, people want to buy a house. That's why I got in this business.
Yeah.
You know? I didn't do it because of the money. I did it because I actually really love getting people into houses.
Yeah.
I still get butterflies when I get, you know, someone into a house.
That's so cool.
You know, and I know that when I lose that, when I don't have the butterflies, when I don't get excited for, you know, someone getting a clear to close, I need to get out of the business.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people stay in it because of the money.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that this is about the buyer first, not about us, not what we want.
Yeah.
And that's, once I stop thinking like that, I know I need to get out. And I will get out.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to anybody.
Right.
Because it's not only about the buyer. You're involved as a realtor. There's a realtor on the other side. There's a seller on the other side.
That's true.
So it's not about just, you know.
Yeah.
There's a big group of people. And then if there's contingencies on that house, there's more.
You know, seriously though.
I'm going through one right now. You know, I think there's a contingency on mine. And another one, I think there's maybe 2 contingencies. So
Dang,
there's 3 total.
Both people are trying to sell in order to be able to buy and move. That's a lot of moving parts.
Yes. So it's scary. So it's not just about us. We have to think about everybody.
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
I honestly, like I said, once I stop feeling those butterflies, and, you know, I'm out of the business.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't belong. I'm only doing damage.
So for people like that say, well, my credit is shot. Oh, well, you know, I have too much debt. I mean, they should probably just pick up the phone and call you and just talk about that, right?
That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest step. A lot of people, we don't like to be told no. No. So I tell everybody, just what's it going to hurt, you know? What is your credit score? What do you think your credit score is? And they tell me. I go, okay, there's only one way to find out. Are you willing to run it? And then I can tell you just by looking at it, you know, you may need to do this, and this. You know, I've been in the business long enough where I can give them a little bit of credit, and I let them know I'm not a credit repair specialist.
Of course.
But if it gets too bad and there's a lot of collections and stuff that's out of my, I guess I could say my knowledge or whatever I can handle, then I'm going to send them to someone who's a specialist that can take care of them.
Right.
And, you know, I've been with this person for about 3 years, and they're amazing and they're honest. And that's what really, you know, drew me to them.
Right.
I've sent them people where I'm like, hey, what do you think about this one? And they're like, no, let me just tell them what to do, and I'm not even going to charge them.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I love that. And who's going to do that?
Exactly.
You know, it's giving free advice and going to get them back to me.
Yeah.
So I'm very loyal to her.
Yeah.
So
that's
yeah.
Awesome.
So it's the biggest step for people is to get out of that. I don't want to hear no.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're going to stay like that, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get anything you want.
You're exactly right. Well, and the hardest part too with that is, say they come to me and, you know, we talk about pre-approval and they're just so gung-ho and so excited. You know, their lease is expiring soon and they're just ready to get into a house, or they're fixing to graduate and they're just so excited for this next step in life. but they haven't done any of their homework prior to that, or haven't like talked about it or done any research, and then they come to find out that, you know, I'm not as ready as I think that I am.
Sometimes they can do too much research.
Yeah.
You know, they go online and they see a lot of stuff that every transaction is different. Every transaction has different cases, that stuff that has to happen for them to get through theirs. So they read stuff that may not really be for them.
Right.
You know, and they're already looping themselves in that little category there with that person that may have had a problem or had to do this to, you know, maybe pay debt off or
Exactly.
So the only way to find out is to run it. If you're fine with running it, yes, it's going to be a hard pull. You know, it's going to hit your credit, but it's not going to hit it hard. Too much.
Yeah.
So why not run it? Let's get you set. You know,
the
longest
prepared.
person I've been with that I've helped, maybe a little over a year.
Wow.
And I told him, I go, if you're serious and want to put in the work, I'm here. I'm going to help you, and I'll stay with you the whole time.
Yeah.
And we'll make it happen. And we did.
That's
little
so
over
awesome.
a year, he bought himself a $300,000 house.
That's so cool.
It was the best feeling ever.
And I bet that was just so gratifying for him too, because he had to put in the work to get there.
He was the first one in his family who had ever bought a house.
That's so awesome.
You know, everybody else rented, and he broke that chain.
That's so cool. Good for him, and you helped him do it. That's
It felt
awesome.
really good.
So if you were to put a percentage, like not to scare anyone, I know we're talking about like, oh, you have to be prepared. How many people would you say are ready to go versus they need to do some work?
You'd be surprised. I mean, I would say that I get, because I do a little bit of first-time home buyers, and I do, you know, people who have bought before. So I would say my percentage of that aren't ready to go, it's actually not that high. I mean, I'd say 25%. You know, there's 75 are ready to go, and you know,
wow,
they bought. But again, I think it's I want to say this. It's not all on the buyer though.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's on the buyer, yes, for getting that stuff, but it's also on me too.
Gotcha.
It's also for me to set the tone, how it's gonna flow, how is it gonna go. You know, if they start to drag their feet and get me needed items, then I got to come in like, hey, what's going on, guys? I need this, I need this, I need this.
Right.
And we have to do it in a manner to where we're not pushy, but kind of are. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, sometimes the buyer doesn't like it, and well, that guy's pushy, or that guy's, well, no, we're trying to meet a deadline.
Right, exactly.
And if we don't get you ready to go, how do we know how much, you know, you're
That's
approved
true.
for, how many, you know. And
if you want to get that house before someone else takes it, how quickly are you going to move too?
Exactly.
And that's also could be on us too, and educating our buyers as well, because, you know, it's easy for me sometimes, especially I do a lot of business in Rockport, and we're very much a short-term rental community, very much a second home community.
Yes.
And I could meet with people and assume that they've bought before just because they're coming to Rockport and they're not buying their primary home. That doesn't mean that this isn't their first time, or that they haven't bought in 20 years, or, you know, that they've only rented their whole life. And so they might not even know the process. And, you know, I always want to, there's so many little aspects and different things that go into it, that it's like, okay, well, how much do I share without like freaking you out completely?
Yeah.
How much do I, you know, to not overshare, but also stay in my lane, because that's your job also at the same time. Same with the whole insurance thing too. Like, you know, and I try and do my best to protect them and get them set up for success. But there's also, everybody has their own lane as well.
And I'm glad you said about they haven't bought in 20 years.
Because things change.
Yes.
Imagine that.
And they're still, well, I bought a house before, but yeah, 20 years ago. Things have changed. A lot of things have changed, you know. A lot of things change from one year to the next.
They do.
You know, so we have to kind of be, I don't want to say, what's the word for it? It's got to hold their hand, I guess you could say again, you know,
of
like
course.
a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
And, you know, get them to see like, well, this is how they do now. It's not like that
Exactly.
anymore. And try not to offend them, you know, because they have bought before, but it's just a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
And so that can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and there's something too that with the whole like, oh, I've bought before thing, or oh, this is my second home thing. I've started to ask people, so what is your timeline? When would you like this to happen? Are you ready to go now? Do you want to just kind of like wait and see what happens? Because I want my hustle to match yours.
Yes.
If you are, because I am ready to go. I'm ready to go at any moment, and I I can jog or I can sprint. Like and I can walk too. You know what I'm saying? Like I can do what I need to do for you, but I need you to tell me what I need to do for you, because expectations are huge. Kind of like what you said earlier. Like we have to set the expectation of this is what is needed and this is when it's needed by, because those documents, like you mentioned, like, your W-2 and your bank statements and stuff like that, like those are the huge credible resources that y'all need to prove, credit worthiness and your ability to be able to afford a house and things like that, And
another thing is, we need to be answering the phone when they call. We need to return phone calls. We need to be available, put it that way.
Oh, you have to be available to your clients?
And there's, in our business, it's real easy to be like, oh, well, I was with someone else, or, oh, I got so busy and I'm sorry, I'm getting to you a week later. And, if I ever start doing that, I expect you to tell me like, hey, Juan, you're not answering your phone. Hey, you're not returning phone calls or whatever. And I got to fix it, and it's real easy. And so I pride myself. That's one of the things I pride myself is, I answer phone calls at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And Lori, my wife doesn't like it, but I work with people in the medical field, so they get out, and that's when they have time. Right. Refinery shift work. So that's the only time I can get a hold of them. I have to talk to them at that time. Right. So do I want to do it? No, but I want them to get their house. Yeah. So we do. Well,
and if for the transaction to go smoothly on all parties, sometimes you just have to do things like that, and that's really cool that you can be flexible and that you're willing to do that.
Oh, I pride myself on that. Yeah. I worked with a lot of good other companies and other good realtors, and I saw they all had one thing in common. They were very knowledgeable. But they didn't answer the phone as much as I thought they should have or could have. Right. And weren't as flexible. Yeah. And that was like, what, I want to do something different, and I want to do that. So that's, like I said, I'll wake up at 2 to talk to somebody. I've talked to people at 6. Yeah. And 12 at night. Yeah. That's awesome. So when I tell people all I do is work, call me whenever you want. Seriously. I mean it. Yeah. And they trust me. They've tested me. Yeah. And oh, I was just checking to see if you were going to answer the phone.
Oh my gosh. People.
I was like, really? 1 o'clock in the morning?
Like, I was in a really good sleep and you just messed it up just for your test.
So yeah, it's sometimes I'm like, man, I should never say that, but it's the truth. I do answer the phone. Yeah. And I like that they test. Yeah. Because they find out. Right. And they tell their friends and hopefully bring more referrals.
Yeah, holding you accountable, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, yes, ma'am. To wrap it up today, I actually didn't tell you about this beforehand, but I always ask everybody one thing when we end.
Cowboys.
No, definitely not that. Definitely
I know, that was the first thing you said. We're not talking about the Cowboys.
We're not talking about the Cowboys.
I was going to wear a Cowboy jersey too, but we lost yesterday, so.
Oh yeah, no. One thing that I always ask everybody is, what do you do every day to make the world a better place?
If I can just. One little thing, give someone a smile, make someone smile, stop and talk to someone, open little things like opening doors and buying someone a meal just because, whether they can afford it or not. Yeah. Send things over to a table that, it's just little things like that.
That's cool.
That we take for granted. And I ride my bike down Ocean Drive. Pretty much every other day. Yeah, and I'm there's a lot of people down there that need help. You see them a lot. Yeah. So probably once a week I'll buy Whataburger and Bob's, because I ride in the morning. That's cool. So I'll leave it there. There's a specific area where I know they're at, and I'll go and drop them off. They probably know you're gonna come too. They've gotten to see me. Other times I'll slip some money and. When they're not looking in a bag, and that's awesome. Little stuff like that. I grew up with not a lot. Yeah. And I know how it is to be with coming home and is the light on? Right. Stuff like that. What's gonna work today? Yeah. So I think of things I would want someone to do for me.
That's awesome. Paying it forward like that. Yes. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. That's really awesome. Well, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And yes, I learned a lot and I really enjoyed this time. So
anytime. Thank you so much.
Of course.